ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review. Please bear with me. I'm still coughing some. Like today's been a little bit worse than the last few days. So I'm still getting rid of the bronchitis. So just bear with me. That being said, Money in the Bank 2019 had some really good highlights and just some staple WWE stupid decisions. Things that have just made me tune out when it comes to WWE. I watch this stuff, I watch it late. I really don't put as much emphasis as I used to on doing the wrestling reviews because wrestling has just turned into a big joke when it comes to WWE at least. Having said that, there were some things that were definitely good about Money in the Bank. So let's go ahead and get into this. I got my notes over here to the left, so if you see me just kind of looking back and forth, that's why. So, the kickoff, you had backstage Becky Lynch interview. Same old shit, you know, she's going to beat the odds. You had a backstage Kevin Owens interview, which really didn't amount to much. And you had one match during the kickoff, which was Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan versus the Usos. None of this makes sense. It's a non-title match on a pay-per-view kickoff card. There's really no merit to this match whatsoever. All it does really is bring the Usos back to SmackDown. You know that the Usos are going to win because it's a non-title match. Otherwise, they would just make it a title match and have Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan win. So you already know who's going to win, and sure enough, the Usos win. It's a fairly decent match for what it is, but it doesn't go anywhere. It really has no stakes, and all it does is put the Usos back in contention for the SmackDown Tag Championship. So really, this was an absolutely pointless match, a pointless kickoff entirely. It did have some entertainment value, but that was it. So the Usos win. There you go. Then you hit the main show. Start off right away with the Money in the Bank ladder match for the females. Now this has Naomi, Carmella, Nikki Cross, Mandy Rose, Ember Moon, Dana Brooke, Natalya, Bayley. There were a couple of standouts to me. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by a couple of spots that Dana Brooke had. Dana Brooke, not really been one of the people I gravitate towards. Not really anybody that I've been super excited to see in the ring. But she did good. And I got to give props where props are due. I felt like she did good. Mandy Rose, who typically I like, was actually kind of sloppy during this match. And there was one spot where she kicks a ladder that Carmella was holding on to, and I don't know if it was a legitimate injury or fake injury. I'd have to say legitimate. I'd really have to say legitimate. They had to, walk Carmella to the back. She's limping pretty bad. She came back later with her leg all taped up. So you had some decent spots, and I think the biggest spot for me was Ember Moon on a ladder doing her Eclipse move to Natalya standing in the middle of the ring. It was actually really cool. Crowd popped, holy shit, and it worked. Like, it was a very good visual. And there were some spots where some of the other ladies were definitely getting slammed on ladders and, definitely taking shots. So it's not like that, they were taking the easy way out. No, there were some good shots here. At the end of the day, Carmella comes back from her knee injury. Her knee's all bandaged up. She goes directly after Mandy Rose. And she goes hardcore after Mandy, slamming her face into the ladder, throwing into barricades, blah, blah, blah. Mandy, she's kind of out. Carmella's going up. Sonya Deville steps in, takes care of that, and then grabs Mandy and literally starts walking Mandy up the ladder. They're met at the top by Bayley, who just pops up out of nowhere all of a sudden, which was cool. And then she just shoves both of them down because they're already unbalanced. And Bayley picks up the win. And it was a very good first win. The match itself had its ups and downs. There were a couple of cringe spots. There were a couple of spots that weren't timed very well. But overall, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't. It was a pretty good match. I really liked it. And Ember Moon has to be one of the highlights. Bayley winning is very, very cool, I think. finally giving some props to Bayley. And so that was a fun opening, I think. After that, you have a backstage bit with Triple H and Sami Zayn, where Sami Zayn's telling Triple H, you know how Braun Strowman is, you know what he's going to do, he's going to come after me. I need protection. Triple H doesn't feed into it. And then you get Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio had his son Dominic there. And really short match. These guys, their whole feud has had really short matches. Samoa Joe was setting up Rey for a power bomb. Rey kind of Hurricane Rana's it into a pinning predicament, gets the win. Samoa Joe, he's pissed as Rey and Dominic are walking back up the ramp. He's already up the ramp. He comes and hits Rey Mysterio from behind, beats him up in the ring for a few minutes with Dominic watching, and that was that. But still, new U.S. champ Rey Mysterio. After that, you have Shane McMahon versus The Miz, steel cage. And it was alright for a steel cage match. It was entertaining, but I don't know if there was anything extravagant about it. I will say Shane McMahon is 49 years old. I'm 41. And he's taking chair shot after chair shot after chair shot, putting his body on the line, falling from the top of the cage. I don't care, dude. I'm impressed. And that's it. I mean, at 50 years old, basically, this guy is really getting it taken to him in this match. And so I got to give him props for that. At the end of the day, Miz was holding him over the cage, and he looked like he was going to try to suplex him back into the ring, which Shane McMahon does stuff like that all the time. And instead, he kind of lifts his arms up, and his shirt comes off, and he just falls to the floor. And so Shane McMahon wins. So I don't like that ending. I feel like if you're going to go this long with a feud like this, that kind of it already has everybody burning out, you got to give the face a win at some point. You got to give him his redemption at some point. And they're just not doing that. So, they're taking away Miz's credibility. It's just kind of how I feel about it. Then you got Daivari versus Tony Nese. Tony Nese, the Cruiserweight champion. It was a decent match, but the crowd was dead at this point. They were just not into the match, which of course kind of sucks for these guys because I felt like it was a decent match. But at the end of the day, Tony Nese wins, and that's it. So you got Sami Zayn. He's gone to the ER because he was attacked. He's hung upside down on this cage. And of course, it looks like Braun Strowman had did it. And so now they're saying that Sami Zayn may be out of the Money in the Bank match. Okay, well, opening up room for someone else. Clearly. And then you get Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans. Not much to speak of here. I'm not a big fan of Lacey Evans. She did alright. It was an okay match. It wasn't anything spectacular, and there were some awkward moments for sure. At the end, Becky Lynch, she gets the win. Charlotte comes out right after. Becky's hurt. She just had one match. She goes into this fight with Charlotte Flair. And this is more of a storyline match than it is, an actual, competitive match. Charlotte Flair starts wearing out Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch tries to overcome the odds. Lacey Evans gets involved. She's trying to definitely beat the odds now. Referee's distracted. Lacey Evans hits the women's right. Charlotte Flair hits the kick, gets the win, gets the SmackDown belt. So Becky Lynch has the Raw Women's Championship now. Charlotte Flair has the Women's Championship for SmackDown. So Charlotte and Lacey Evans decide after the match they're going to tag team and start whooping on Becky Lynch some more. Bayley comes out to help out Becky Lynch. Through all the ruckus, Charlotte Flair gets thrown into the ring post really hard. It's like she's knocked out. Bayley cashes in right then and there, hits the elbow on Charlotte Flair. Boom, new SmackDown Women's Champion, Bayley. Now, if I'm being honest, this was not the match of the night. Nothing in this segment here was the match of the night. But it might have been the moment of the night, if that makes sense. The cash in with Bayley, everybody popped, everybody knew what was coming, and as soon as it happened, the crowd got really loud. I think, everybody wants Bayley to have her moment in the sun. And so it really turned out to be just that. And Bailey, she, I think she's deserving. I do. She's certainly not been perfect in the ring around the mic, but I think she's one of the more entertaining women. So that was cool. I liked it. The crowd liked it. Good moment. From there, got to look at my notes here real quick. You have Elias versus Roman Reigns, which was pretty pointless. Elias does his in-ring bit with the guitar. Roman Reigns comes out of nowhere, hits him. Match starts, spear, Roman Reigns wins. Complete squash match, a couple of minutes. Could have taken the whole thing out of the show and it would have been the same thing. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins is next, and this to me was the match of the night. These two guys, very good in the ring. They had some really good spots. Really a clinic as far as wrestling goes. Nice combination of back and forths. There was a little twist on the superplex Falcon Arrow that Seth Rollins did to AJ, where it was actually an inverted superplex. And very cool moments like that in the match. And at the end of the day, Seth Rollins hits a curb stomp on AJ Styles, gets the win. AJ stands up, puts his hand out, says, "You know how hard this is for me to do." They shake hands. AJ walks out. Good match. They both keep their face persona. It worked. From there, you have Charlie backstage interviews Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Xavier says he's going to, respect Kofi's wishes to stay out of it. And, Kofi said he's going to make Kevin Owens pay for trying to use his brothers to get to his title. So it was actually a decent promo there. Then you get the Lucha House Party. They come down. It's supposed to be a 3-on-3, except Lars Sullivan comes down as the monster comes and annihilates the Lucha House Party. Headbutts Sin Cara, and the headgear busted him open, scratched his head or something. So he was bleeding pretty good. So it actually added a little color to the moment, which definitely helped Lars Sullivan. But at the end of the day, I think this is another piece where you could have just taken the whole thing out and the pay-per-view would have been better for it. After that, you got Kevin Owens versus Kofi Kingston. Good match. I mean, they were following AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, so they had a lot to live up to. And they're not going to be that good, I don't think. They're both damn good in the ring. I really like Kofi. I really like Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, for a guy his size, can really move and do some crazy stuff. And he's not afraid to put his body on the line, which he has shown time and time again. And he does in this match show that. Does this over the top rope to the outside floor splash on Kofi. And, Kofi does the double stomp onto the apron. They always pull out some crazy moves like that. And so it was a really good pay-per-view as far as that goes. The match was good. I don't know if it was great, but it was good. And at the end of the day, Kofi Kingston gets the win. And I really like how they do it because Kevin Owens had the upper hand. He goes to the top rope, does a swanton where he gets caught by Kofi's legs. And then Kofi hits this Trouble in Paradise. And I loved the visual with the Trouble in Paradise because Kevin Owens, I don't know if it was the impact or if he was just selling that good, but everything in his head just crumbled to one side, and it just looked like the impact was really good. So I don't know if that was actual impact or Kevin Owens doing a damn good job, but it was a great visual. Kofi Kingston gets the win. There you go. After that, you get the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. So you have Baron Corbin, Finn Balor, Ricochet, Andrade with Zelina, of course, Mustafa Ali, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and the surprise guest at the end, which we'll get into in a second. The match itself was amazing. Honestly, there were so many spots where I'm just these guys are putting their bodies through hell. It's amazing that any of them were walking at the end of it. It was truly cringy at times. It made me feel for these guys. One spot in particular was Andrade Cien Almas does like a sunset flip power bomb on Finn Balor onto another ladder that's braced between the ropes and the rung of a ladder standing up. Something we've seen in different versions before, but this visual really sold, and Finn Balor really bounced off the ladder. And Finn Balor, he got nailed like 3 or 4 really good times with like power bombs onto ladders or something like that. Like Finn Balor definitely took it throughout this match. Andrade Cien Almas is another guy during this match who could easily be MVP. Like, honestly, dude just killed it. Ricochet had a couple of good spots. One where Drew McIntyre threw him over the top rope and he got some height on Ricochet. And Ricochet crashes through a ladder. At the end of the day, with all these people down, you have Mustafa Ali on the ladder. Brock Lesnar's music hits. Instantly, the crowd changes mood. Goes from an amazing match to a shit ending where you're bringing back Brock Lesnar, and you can tell this is a last-minute desperation decision from Vince McMahon. You can tell. And Brock Lesnar, you know, it's more of the same. He didn't earn anything in the match. He wasn't in the match at all. He walked down to the ring. He threw one guy. He climbed the ladder. He pulled down the briefcase. And this is the same shit that fans have been complaining about with Brock Lesnar. So at the end of the day, we don't care. Like, people are only attractions if the audience is attracted to them. If the audience isn't attracted to them anymore, if they're starting to see that there's things about this that we just don't want to be invested in, well, guess what? The attraction is no longer there. And so Vince McMahon does what Vince McMahon does, and the product suffered for it. And you know that's what this was. This is 120% Vince McMahon. Guaranteed. I've said that he created one of the biggest juggernauts we've ever seen when it came to the Attitude Era, when wrestling was really at its height. And I love him for that, but his day is done. He's out of touch. Every decision he has made lately has been terrible, and the product shows. So that's where I'm at. The pay-per-view overall, there were things that I felt like could have been completely taken away. Roman Reigns, Elias, the Lars Sullivan bit. I mean, even the kickoff match was kind of pointless, to be very honest. But it did have some very good moments. The Bayley moment was good. The women's Money in the Bank, decent. Men's Money in the Bank, better. AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, really, really amazing. I liked Kofi versus Kevin Owens. Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe was there. I mean, they gave Rey the belt, but geez, they had 30 seconds of a match. And they had Samoa Joe crown him after the match, and that was a little better. Miz, Shane McMahon, I actually did kind of like. I would say it was above average just because, like I said, man, I do put into perspective that Shane McMahon is 50 fucking years old and doing some of this stuff. That's crazy. So, you know, when you walk into a match with that in your head, it's like you have to respect it. And the dude took a lot of shots. I didn't like how they ended it, but it is what it is. Overall, the pay-per-view, I'm going to say, is definitely above average. I was entertained through a lot of it. There were things that I definitely did not like about it. I think they kind of left a sour taste in people's mouth with Brock Lesnar at the end. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to let one thing, you know, blacken an entire pay-per-view. Even though sometimes we should, I'm not going to. So overall, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I felt like it was a fairly strong outing. A couple of the matches really had me entertained, and a couple of moments really had me kind of choked up as they were happening. So with that, you know, I have to say, that's entertaining, man. That's what you want. You want to feel something. And I'll probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. Because I feel like it was strong in some important ways. So 7.5 out of 10, that's where I'm going with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation, out.